Hey everybody, welcome back. Have you ever wanted to give millions of dollars to a political campaign, but felt yourself stymied by pesky campaign contribution limits? Have I got some good news for you. Go ahead and smash that like button and I'll tell you all about it. Alright, so this is Citizens United versus F.E.C. The F.E.C. is the Federal Elections Commission. They're the independent regulatory commission in charge of enforcing campaign finance laws. Fair warning up front, there's a lot of info in this video, so let's jump right in. Okay, so this is a 2010 case, but we're going to need to go back to the 2002 Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, better known as BICRA. BICRA made a number of changes to campaign finance laws in the US. We're going to focus on a couple of the most relevant. For one thing, BICRA banned corporations and unions from engaging in independent political spending within 60 days of a general election or 30 days of a primary election. Additionally, BICRA banned direct political contributions from corporations to candidate campaigns or political parties. Jump to 2004 and Michael Moore was releasing a movie highly critical of George W. Bush called Fahrenheit 9/11 in the weeks before the presidential election. Like most major Hollywood releases, there were many commercial ads for the movie. A conservative nonprofit group called Citizens United filed a complaint to the F.E.C. that the ads violated BICRA. The F.E.C., however, dismissed the complaint, saying that the ads were genuine commercial activity, not political spending. So the Citizens United people were like, okay, well, two can play at that game. So they produced a movie very critical of John Kerry called Celsius 4111. The F.E.C. ruled that showing the movie ads violated BICRA because Citizens United wasn't a bona fide commercial filmmaker. So over the next couple of years, Citizens United made a bunch of movies to prove that they were in fact legitimate filmmakers. In 2008, during the Democratic primaries, they announced their masterpiece, Hillary the Movie, which they planned to air commercials for, ostensibly advertising the movie, but really campaigning against Hillary. The F.E.C. again ruled against Citizens United, saying that there was no way to interpret the movie as anything besides an appeal to vote against Hillary. To the F.E.C., Citizens United was making political campaign ads and trying to disguise them as ads for a movie. So Citizens United appealed to the Supreme Court. There were several issues before the court, but we'll focus on two. Can political speech of corporations, labor unions, and associations be banned? And can direct contributions by corporations, labor unions, and associations be banned? In an extremely contentious 5-4 ruling, the court held that corporate funding of independent political expenditures cannot be limited. The court used precedent to reason that corporations are associations of people. So just like individuals are protected by the Bill of Rights from government overreach, so are corporations. On the other hand, the court upheld BICRA's ban on corporate direct contributions to candidates. So to be clear, corporations, unions, and associations can raise and spend an unlimited amount of money on independent political speech, but they may not give any money directly to candidates. This led directly to the formation of independent expenditure only committees, much more commonly referred to as super PACs. I know there's a ton of vocab here, so watch video 5.11 on campaign finance after this and you'll be an expert on all things campaign finance. So the court struck down some parts of BICRA, including the limitation on the timing of political ads as well as the ban on soft money. But the question is, why? Why did the court rule the way that it did, and why are people on both sides of the issue so passionate about this case? The court's reasoning was that based on the First Amendment's free speech clause, corporations have the right to engage in political speech, just like individual people. To the majority, it's really just that simple. This is a free speech case, and Congress passed a law limiting the free speech of some people, and the court is just striking down an unconstitutional restriction on political speech. The majority opinion written by Justice Kennedy sheds light on the majority's reasoning, going so far as to call these timing bans a classic example of censorship. If that seems dramatic, bear in mind that during the first oral arguments, when the Supreme Court asked the Deputy Solicitor General a hypothetical question, could the government ban a 500-page book that contained a single sentence at the end, saying, "Vote for X"? And the answer was yes. Kennedy goes on to say that if this law was banning the political speech of individuals, nobody would think it was just a time, place, or manner restriction. Nothing changes just because it's a corporation. The First Amendment protects more than just the individual on a soapbox. It doesn't matter whether they're protecting the speech of the weak or the powerful. We are all protected by the First Amendment. The dissenting justices see things quite differently. To them, this really isn't about speech at all. Justice Stevens, in a 90-page dissent, expressed concern that this ruling would undermine the integrity of electoral institutions as well as the legitimacy of the court itself. To the dissenters and critics of Citizens United, there's multiple problems with this decision. One of which is that this really isn't a question of limiting speech. It's about having elections that people can trust. Additionally, Stevens criticizes the majority for taking a case with a very narrow question and using it to completely rewrite campaign finance law. To Stevens, the timing restrictions on corporate ads are merely an example of time, place, manner restrictions, not at all resembling the censorship the majority describes. Justice Stevens continues, the court's blinkered and aphoristic approach to the First Amendment may well promote corporate power at the cost of the individual. In other words, yeah, free speech is good. Censorship is bad. Duh. But this case is going to empower corporations over individuals politically, worrying about the corporate domination of the electoral process. Wow. I mean, again, notice that to Stevens, this isn't about free speech. It's about empowering corporations, and in his opinion, corporations will use this new freedom to dominate our electoral process. For the AP exam, I can 100% envision an argument essay prompt on this topic of free speech and campaign finance regulations. It's a complicated issue and both sides raise interesting points. Is it more about free speech or about the integrity of elections? Alright, well that's it for this one. Until next time, this has been a La Money production. Thanks again for watching. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the Ultimate Review Packet, and I will see you in the next video.